Join us on the last bus home.
Nice one.
And we're back.
And we're back. Sorted. Right, yeah. So today, I think it's very
What
fitting.
What you got?
Well, as it's freezing outside, I thought we'd do a bit of a cold episode. We'll take the bus over to Antarctica.
Ooh,
So a
what's so
place
special?
steeped in mystery. Yeah, I was actually really looking forward to this one because I've only sort of seen the basic kind of conspiracy documentaries and all that sort of bullshit, but I really wanted to look into a bit more of the stories around it, because I've seen a few things about ghost stories, UFOs. Just it's like a proper cool place. So what I'm going to do is
hear it. I've got my Alp-shaped chocolate bar. Not dropping any
nice.
names.
That's pretty cool.
I've got my Arctic iced coffee. Let's go.
Ooh, let's do this. Nice.
None of it being the Antarctic. But, I'm trying.
Hey, it's all good. Right, so I'll go through a bit of history on it. I won't dwell too much on that. I'll get to the paranormal shit. But so basically, Antarctica was talked about for centuries until it was discovered in the 19th. Of course, by two Russian badasses. I was thinking, if I was going to do an expedition, I'd hire Russians. Just because.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Because they're hard and
Yeah, exactly.
They're snow people a lot.
Yeah, used to the cold.
Can I just backtrack a little bit there for some clarification?
Yeah, man.
People were talking about Antarctica for hundreds of thousands of centuries, you said, and then it was discovered in 1901.
No.
So what were they talking about?
No. Okay, so listen. Okay, so it was the 19th century that Antarctica was discovered. So Antarctica was first sighted in 1820 by the two Russians. But honourable mention goes out because the more I looked into it, a dude called Gabriel de Castilla in 1603 may have talked about it. It was very up and down. Was it conspiracy? Was it an actual thing? So I think it's kind of one of those things where it is a little bit maybe up in the air. But
is it because it's all snowy and hilly? They just thought it was clouds in the horizon.
Exactly. And what is the definition of discovery? Is it you actually have to put feet on the ground and claim space to it? I don't really know, but there seems to be a little bit of vagueness about it. But as far as I can see,
it looked a bit cold, and they thought, I've only got my 1600s fluffy shouldered blouse on, and it's going to be really cold down there. I'll go back later. And
exactly.
then, life kicked in and they lost their boat keys or whatever. I don't know.
That's why I'm thinking it was the Russians, because Russians don't take nowhere. They don't take nowhere else. As you mentioned, Antarctica is it's pretty brutal kind of conditions. It's the windiest and driest continent on the Earth. And I looked into this, and it was the ice is around 2 to 3 miles thick. And under that, obviously it's a continent, is land. So this I found pretty fascinating. So 90 million years ago, give or take a few million, who knows.
Is this how it differs from the Arctic then?
Yeah, so Antarctica as a continent, I looked into a few sort of different things. So Antarctica the continent, the Antarctic islands, there's loads of islands that I didn't know about. So kind of that general cold area, okay? So a long time ago, 90 million years ago, seemed to be, from what I could see, the general consensus it was a tropical rainforest, all manner of different kind of plants and animals, which I guess got buried with the ice age, which is that's wild to me because I keep thinking about it.
I've been led to believe there's plenty of oil and stuff there, but
yeah, exactly.
Imagine, yeah.
And oil, where does that come from? So I can imagine there was a lot of life there, which is pretty cool. So just going back 90 million years, I kind of want to imagine it was all weird, plants and creatures roaming around. So yeah, I thought that was badass.
There's probably some genuinely awesome fossils there.
Yeah, definitely.
Just waiting.
Imagine that. But just buried under 3 miles of thick ice. So
yeah, there's no anorak like thick enough for that.
no, that's a lot of drilling.
It's too much ice for me. Yeah.
Exactly. So brutal temperatures around minus 49 C, minus 56 F Fahrenheit. Temperatures can drop to minus 80, minus 112. Wind speeds crazy, over 300 kilometers per hour, 186 miles per hour, which is nuts. So yeah, it's crazy. So following on from the 1600s, when I first mentioned that dude, we'll kind of go from there. There seems to be like a lot of nations seem to explore it. So we're in there. France, a few other places. This dude's name popped up, Ernest Shackleton, and we'll come across him a bit later in the.
I'm aware of him. I'm aware of him.
Yeah, that dude. You like your explorers, don't you? So probably a few in here you might recognise. But I'm going to try and get the name right. Roald Amundsen. He was the dude because he was the first to reach the South Pole in 1911. He led like lots of different sort of Antarctic exploration, so that's kind of cool. From what I can gather, doing my research, it's a pretty strict place to visit. So you can go there, but obviously it's only through tour operators. It's not like you can just jump off at the Antarctic airport and off on your merry way.
Why? Why is that? I mean, I hear that it is restricted. Are they? I mean, who's restricting it? Who is they? Because it doesn't belong to anyone.
Okay,
or is it there a fear of us going there and discovering the edge of the world?
Exactly. Crazy conspiracy theorist would probably believe that, and even other shit. But at the end of the day, it's just a brutal place, and humans are too dumb to look after themselves.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just dangerous.
Yeah, of course. It's common sense. You're going to die unless you're Russian or you know your shit.
I mean, PPE, health and safety makes sense. It does. But it should be a law.
Antarctica pisses on PPE. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be a badass.
Kurt Russell had his hood up and some safety glasses, but he still beat Finn.
I was just about to say the thing. Was that Alaska or was that Antarctica?
I'm sure that was the Antarctic.
It could be.
Or was it the Arctic? I'm going to have to check.
Well, you don't want to fuck with that either way. So, like I say, it's a pretty brutal place.
But Kurt Russell feels cold different to us. You know, it's got to be really cold for him to put his coat on.
Well, most tour operators there ask for certain levels of fitness, and most of them won't take anybody under the age of 10 years old. So no kids, no Disney moms, none of that. You've got to be fit.
Antarctica.
There you go. You seen how brutal that was? Kurt Russell got messed up.
Yeah, but all PPE had was like some sunglasses and his furry hood, and he still kicked ass with his flamethrower. He didn't win because I'm pretty sure that something survived at the end. Well, in him. But who knows?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, no one owns it, but you might be wrong on that one. So lots of places have claimed that they own it, but they don't. I'm not really sure what that means. I looked into it. Australia, France, New Zealand, Norway, United Kingdom, of course, all claimed it.
What's Australia going to do with a snowy continent?
This is it. And what do you do when you claim it? What do you say? Does the government say, like, this is ours now?
That's it. What does it take these days? I mean, it's not like this population to go and enslave and like throw out of their home territory. So surely you can just stride in and plant yourself a flag, I suppose. But
there's laws, man.
But I suppose you're planting it in the ice, aren't you? You're how much? 3 miles deep? Did you say
3 miles?
Yeah, you're 3 miles above the land, so you still haven't claimed it. You're going to have to dig right down and then put your flag in.
Well, my friend, I'm going to knock all that to bullshit because in 1959, the Antarctic Treaty designated Antarctica as a nature reserve devoted to peace and science. So, you want to know who owns Antarctica? It's the
I
Antarctic Treaty. Okay.
wonder if anyone's bothered boiling a kettle and just pouring a hole.
Well, there's lots of research that goes on there, so I'm going
That's
to.
how my nana used to do her front path.
Could probably do that now. It's pretty cold. The Antarctic Treaty prohibits military activity, which we're going to get into. Might not be the case. Nuclear explosions, nuclear waste disposal, all prohibited, which is kind of a good thing. The treaty has been pretty successful in preserving Antarctica, but I've kind of called bullshit on that because, as far as I looked into it, there seems to be quite a lot of concern about sort of future conflicts over resources, things like that. It's a great place for scientific research and military observation. So I'm not too sure when that money gets involved. We'll see how it is. But as I mentioned, I'll just run briefly through all the research that goes on there. So it's pretty much a hub for science, climate change, obviously, ice sheet monitoring, oceanography, all that kind of thing. Geology, all about the plate tectonics. So I'm guessing, I didn't get any evidence of like earthquakes or anything like that, but I'm guessing it's a pretty kind of cool place. Mineral rich, so a lot of research into that. Astronomy, which is quite cool. So obviously it's dark as fuck, so you're going to see all kinds of shit, which is quite cool. As well as observing the cosmic microwave background radiation, which obviously is strong because there's fuck all else there. Biology, marine, terrestrial ecology, which is quite cool. So plants and animals that survive in like brutal conditions. That leads on to like astrobiology. When I looked into that, I thought that's kind of weird. But obviously the conditions of Antarctica might be the same as like other planets and stuff. So it's kind of a cool place to test what kind of survives and how it survives. And yeah, so it's pretty much a buzz for it. So research focuses on the potential for life to exist in extreme environments, such as subglacial lakes. So loads of subglacial lakes under there, loads of like mad shit. So this is official. I checked into this. These are conspiracies. Under Antarctica, we know of hidden canyons and valleys. So we've done that through like radar surveys and all that sciencey shit. But yeah, they found mountains buried beneath the ice, which is kind of cool. And what I thought was particularly wild is there's volcanoes under there as well. And the volcanoes are active. And the heat actually melts the ice. And it basically creates these, like, I guess, massive caverns and, like, cool ecosystems. So really wild place. I'm, like, loving it. But this isn't a science podcast. It's a paranormal podcast. So let's crack on with some wild conspiracy theories.
So there's chance for undiscovered and undocumented more spiders.
There'll be all kinds of wild shit under there. You think you've seen those nature documentaries where the volcanoes heat up the water and then that just creates life, and there's going to be some wacky shit under there. And when the NASA's get involved,
I mean, I don't think it'll be on the speed and scale of the film Evolution, but
that was based on science.
We should send Ed Stafford and Bear Grylls down there to, just have a quick couple of weeks recce.
I think Elon Musk should get on it and pay for a SpaceX-style expedition where he just goes down there and lets us know. But
that's pretty much the opposite of what he does, isn't it?
Exactly. I'm not putting too much in it. Just thinking of his dollar. Maybe I could honeypot him. But anyway,
Tom DeLonge to go and lie about it.
I'm done with that, dude. So conspiracy theories, paranormal activity galore. So one of the main ones, well, not really a main one because there wasn't an awful lot of information on it, but kind of known in lore, I guess, was the Nazis' expedition to Antarctica. So
those guys evil as they
Yeah.
were pretty resourceful.
Well, this is it. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm thinking, okay, they wasn't going there for like a holiday. They were clearly going there for some cool shit, maybe. I don't know. Well, when I say cool shit, I don't mean that.
Well, they
Not
got
cool
involved with
way,
all
but
sorts that no one else was. I mean, the bell, which I'm sure we'll cover at some point. But yeah, they found Hellboy in Scotland. I mean, they've done all sorts.
exactly.
They've
So
also done some really bad shit. You know,
they did, but I
I'm
mean,
not
given the date
ignoring.
38 to 39, I don't think they're just sitting around those years. So they clearly must have wanted to go there for a reason. But when I kind of researched into it, it mainly just seemed to be pretty much like an expedition. So it was led by a dude called Alfred Richter. Sorry if I didn't get that right. I'm not very good on the German. It was aimed. Well, aimed to. This was kind of the main story, to establish a German whaling base and claim territory for Germany within the Norwegian sector of Antarctica. So when it says Norwegian sector, I guess that's what it meant before, where Norway just kind of claimed it, but I don't really get what that means again. So the expedition resulted in the mapping and aerial photography of a large area of land, which was named New Swabia. However, obviously, that claim's not recognised by the Antarctic Treaty. So it
So
goes
who
into all
signed
kinds
the
of like
Antarctic Treaty?
who signed it. I'm
I don't
guessing a
mean
bunch of
personally. I mean which countries?
didn't really like look too much into that, but I'm guessing it's a shady bunch of almost Illuminati dudes. That's what I kind of want to think anyway. But I'm guessing it's
They,
probably just heads of certain countries.
yeah.
You know it. You know it. But
Trump,
so maybe
Trump, King
I'm not really
Charles will
sure.
be there, and Mr. Patel from the shop.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out. Secret Nazi bases. Again, this is very obviously seeped in conspiracy. There's no like actual basis of evidence behind this, but just kind of thought it was cool anyway. So there was said to have established hidden underground bases during World War II, and it was kind of like a place where they sort of planned for Hitler to escape, which led to the conspiracy theory of that. Of course, Hitler's still alive and is chilling in Antarctica in his cold ass bunker. So that was kind of that's kind of like the main sort of
well, maybe
conspiracy around
stopped
it,
there
that
on
he
his
escaped.
way. I don't know.
Who knows, man? He escaped from his bunker in Berlin and somehow hopped over there. So when I was kind of going through the sort of Nazi stuff, a thing sort of popped up about an operation that occurred, like a military operation. It's called Operation High Jump. I'm not sure if you've come across that one.
No.
Well, it was a large-scale U.S. Navy expedition to Antarctica. So the years I could kind of get again seemed to be only kind of like one or two, 1946 to 1947, 48. So this was aimed at establishing a research base and asserting U.S. sovereignty over the region. But again, loads of sort of theories have kind of come in. I mean, similar with the Nazi one. I mean, they just went over to do a whaling base, but all these kind of things jump in. But again, it's kind of cool. So some believe that the operation got Nazi confrontation, and this actually led to a lot of casualties and damaged ships, which was actually a fact. I looked into that, and there wasn't a lot of evidence for what had happened, but it did confirm that the operation did see a high number of casualties. All kinds of weird shit, like reports from that. Again, I don't know how based in evidence they are, but a lot of the troops said to see UFOs, things darting around, which they thought was like, again, Nazis, but they were moving at crazy speeds. So yeah, again, it's like a lot of the things that we seem to cover, how much of it is BS and how much of it is just law. But again, it's kind of cool. So I'm going to move on, unless you want to linger over the Nazis, but probably best not to.
No,
Another,
like I say, they've done stuff they've had the chance to do good stuff, but they haven't. So
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Fuck 'em.
I'd like to think, if I was to go down a bit of a Nazi conspiracy theory, that there was some kind of weird base that they set up there. I wouldn't think that's too far out of the region, and maybe it's still there, but I don't think there's any Nazis still chilling there.
Well, it was there, but they've moved it to the moon, I believe.
Oh yeah. There was a documentary on that, wasn't there? Yeah. I recognise that one. So I don't know if you.
Enter Elon. Just saying.
I don't know if you've ever come across in your conspiracy doodlings the Piri Reis map.
No.
Okay,
Enlighten me, Lee. Tell me more.
We'll do. So perhaps the oldest and most frequently cited piece of evidence for the possibility of an ancient civilization in Antarctica is the Piri Reis map. So it was drawn by an Ottoman sailor and cartographer back in 1513. Okay, so check out that date, 1513. How's what spelled? Sorry, the Piri Reis. Piri.
Like the chicken.
Piri, yep, space, and then Reis.
Oh, I was one letter out. I had double E.
So basically, the map illustrates a pretty accurate coastline of South America, and it also hints at the presence of a landmass where Antarctica is, albeit with like no ice. So again, like I say, that was done up in 1513. And as we talked
so
about
between
earlier,
1513 and 16 summer, 3 miles of ice formed. Is this what he's telling us?
So basically, what we're trying to say is, so the outline of the map he's drawn is the landmass and not the ice mass. So he would have had to have get like basically that map from earlier, previous knowledge. There's no way he would have seen it because in 1513 it was ice, but he drew up the thing. So the conspiracy around it is that he got that not by going there or doing whatever cartographer does, but taking it from an earlier maybe map. There's no reference to it basically, but it's very. I don't want to say spot on because some of the things I was reading into were saying, he might have been lucky, but it pretty much, now we know what the landmass is under there, we can say it's pretty accurate and that's what it is. So kind of weird if you look into it, or he might have just been lucky, who knows? But the fact he drew it kind of raises some eyebrows. So moving on. Shit ton of paranormal activity on Antarctica. Absolute shit ton.
Okay, come on then. Lay some on.
I did look into it, and going back to my theory about iron, it kind of turns out that iron's pretty prevalent all around the world. So it might not really be such a theory that it's causing paranormal activity, but Antarctica does have it. It's kind of like needed for a lot of the plankton to survive on in such cold temperatures. So again, could be causing the hysteria. So it seems to be like a lot of stories, and to your joy, Antarctica has its very own cryptid as well, which we're going to cover.
Just one?
Just one, dude. I know, kind of gutted, but it's still a badass cryptid. What I'll do is I'll just run through a little brief explanation of some of the stuff that happens there. So, the ghost of Shackleton, Sir Ernest Shackleton. So, the dude and obviously the legendary explorer. Again, it's all pretty much steeped in lore. I don't think there's any evidence to back all this shit up, but a good ghost story is what it is. So, this dude sent on his former hut on Ross Island. So, as I mentioned earlier, like Antarctica's got loads of islands. Like a literal list. So that's kind of cool thinking about it. I just thought it was this big barren wasteland, but all these kind of cool little frosty islands where all these previous explorers are setting up their sweet little huts. So visitors have claimed to have seen his ghostly figure, felt a chilling presence, all the usual bullshit, footsteps and stuff.
Whoa. felt a chilling. Did the temperature in Antarctica?
Yeah, man.
Are we going with that? Yeah.
And some have
Are we using
some have felt a chilling wind.
really? Well, I know it's spooky. Spooky.
But yeah, so I mean, look, if a ghost is going to haunt a place, it's going to be one of the explorers, isn't it?
If you're going
And
to
that's
freak
pretty
someone
much
out, warm the place up a bit. You know,
that pretty much goes on to a lot of the other kind of sightings. So, Scott's Hut, kind of cool. So this is where Robert Falcon and his ill-fated expedition kind of sort of made it to, but I think they all died. So some believe the spirits of the men perished basically on the journey to the South Pole within the hut. So again, it's haunted as shit, all the usual stuff. Cold, chilling presence, winds, all that kind of spooky
sounds
stuff
right.
that you're going to get.
Down there, yeah.
All the things you're going to get in a hut with 300-mile winds.
Yeah.
Creaky doors.
Creaky doors, breezes, God, yeah.
Tapping on the windows, all kinds of shit.
What, 300 odd K winds. Might even move my cup on tables, yeah.
This is why it's the most haunted place around. So this was kind of cool. Jenny, the ghost ship. Jenny, as in the girl's name, Jenny. Jenny. So after leaving port in 1823, Jenny was on an ill-fated voyage after the ship became trapped in what I could kind of gather when I was reading through, pretty much just thick-ass ice. Basically shredded the ship. When the ship was...
Where was it coming from and where was it going to accidentally bump into Antarctica?
Didn't read too much into it, but what I could kind of gather from the research was that it was basically lost. It was not going to Antarctica. It was kind of like, I don't know, on its way to somewhere else, but it kind of like lost its way and just got trapped.
Jenny, silly cow.
As you're going to do. So when the ship was discovered, it was thought the crew was still alive, but it was soon realised that the occupants were just frozen as shit. Basically after dying of hunger. So it's kind of a brutal death. So again, obviously, all the ghosts turn up. You've seen Ghost Ship, you know how it works. Kind of cool. I'd like to see that, if that exists. So there's a place called Wordy House. So as far as I could gather, this just seemed to be kind of like paranormal activity. Again, I couldn't find out too much about it. Was it a hut? Was it a proper house? But again, from the kind of things that are happening in there, I'm kind of picturing some kind of house. Not sure what a house is randomly doing in Antarctica. It didn't really give too much information.
But yeah, it sounds more like it'd be like a shack or something. I can't see.
I'm really not sure.
Anyone having patience to build a house or even climb a bit of scaffolding in that wind.
That's it. Well, when I was looking at a lot of the pictures of like the research bases, they were kind of like not huts as such, but kind of like temporary setups by the looks of them. But yeah, getting back to this Wordy House, it was pretty much like say usual paranormal shit. So objects flying off shelves, doors slamming shut on their own. It's been known to emit a creepy and dark aura to those who have stepped foot within the house. So I think it's pretty, again, popular with the tourists that do go there. So I'm guessing it has some sort of historical kind of value to it. Again, couldn't find out why ghosts haunt it was referred to as a historical site, but there was no kind of an explanation for like anything that happened there, anyone that was killed, or anything like that. It just seems to be a place where magic happens. Again, dude, stuff flying off the shelves, might have been a bit of wind, who knows. I'm starting to think that maybe these Antarctica dudes just need to realise where they are.
The temperature may drop.
This is it. So one of the islands, named Deception Island, which oddly enough I couldn't find in the list of islands, so I think it's kind of nicknamed Deception Island. So the tales of ghosts lingering at the abandoned huts and deserted whaling stations on this place, which is kind of cool. Tried to find some pictures of it, because I'm picturing like kind of a grim if there's whaling stations and stuff like that, I'm picturing like blood covered ice and just kind of gross shit, like abattoirs basically.
Look, I don't know if how long ago, but would the ice still be red, or would there still be a tinge of it in the ice? Because if it is as dry as you say, then why not?
But I'm guessing if it's an active whaling station, I'd be expecting to see a lot of like shit and blubber around.
Well, and a bit of hygiene, maybe a bit of cleaning done as well if it's active.
Well, basically, again, another kind of popular place with visitors. So it'd be kind of cool to go to see these places. But the main kind of reports that came back from there were orbs, apparitions, usual kind of bullshit of voices. Again, no real kind of like history of people dying on there and stuff. It just seems to be a bit of a barren, horrible place. So this was kind of cool. But again, there's no real mystery to this now. It just looks badass. You might have heard of it. You might have seen it on a nature documentary. A place called Blood Falls. So there's it's an actual waterfall of like blood. But it's not blood.
I didn't realise it was in Antarctica. I've heard of it, but I didn't realise it was there.
It's basically salt water mixes with the iron from the bedrock and just creates this like... Check out some videos of it. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like thick. It basically looks similar to it because it's like, I don't know, it does something when it exposes to the oxygen. I'm not a scientist. But yeah, waterfall and then like a river of blood. It's pretty badass.
Where does that flow to? Into the sea and like dissipates, or does it go back
as far as I
underground?
could see, yeah, they want like a lake. I was kind of hoping for like a proper Evil Dead lake, but no, it just seemed to be like pictures of the river, and then it kind of like almost dissipated. I'm not really too sure, but still kind of cool. So I think with all those places, it would actually be kind of a badass place to visit. But it seems to be like the tour guide will just take you around little haunted hotspots. Again, I could just imagine it's pretty much mainly research facilities and just these odd barren places. But then I think, like Australia, when you go into the proper outback,
barren people, I bet.
I think you just
the
fucked.
research down there. They've got nothing but table tennis to keep them going.
I think it's just like the anti-desert, where it's just like horrible, windy, barren, just awful. Rather than burning to death. Yeah, this is it. Exactly. It's just a cold desert. So I was looking into it. Other than I mean, like the kind of the Nazi thing went on a bit too much, and it went into UFO kind of bullshit. There wasn't a lot of UFO kind of stories that I picked up. Just kind of like scattered accounts from like different research facilities, explorers, military personnel, and it's all the usual bullshit. It's all like orbs, things moving in the sky at high speeds, all that kind of stuff. Again, I don't want to. Well, we're not going to delve too much into it because I didn't really cover it, but there was a lot of things about like kind of like UFO research bases, and I'm kind of over it, man. It's boring. There's about as much evidence for that as there is. I'm kind of done. I'm done. I just wanted to kind of cover the more spooky shit. I don't care if there's UFO bases there. Like, show me, I'm bored of it all now. So the UFO stuff pretty much was kind of like anecdotal for this place. There wasn't like a lot of like cool stories or anything. But as I mentioned earlier, it does have its very own cryptid. So we're going to get into that bad boy because I think it looked pretty cool. I went through the books that we've got, but this guy isn't mentioned in there, I don't think. But it's called the Ningen, which isNingen. So a supposed humanoid creature said to inhabit the Southern Ocean, so pretty much the water surrounding Antarctica. It's humanoid in appearance. It's described as, well, basically having a human shape, torso, limbs, everything, 5 fingers, hands, whatever. It's enormous in size, so this is where it sets it apart from just looking like human. It's estimated range in different reports I could kind of get was like 20 meters, 30 meters, just big. Pale white color seemed to be most of the reports. So described as being completely white, which kind of like, I know some of the stories were referring to it as like this albino creature. So I'm guessing it's like this real sickly, horrible, Kind of like thinking of the skin texture of Bram Stoker's Dracula when he's transforming into a bat. That real like proper white grey shit. So the dude's got a mermaid-like tail.
He's got fins. He's like a big merman or what?
So yeah, mermaid-like tail. So some of the accounts described him as basically having like mermaid tail, kind of like almost like
person.
weird kind of like legs with a fin, and minimal facial features. What was that dude?
The Ray.
Yeah, or kind of. Can you remember the guy from X-Files who could bend and go into all the pipes and stuff? And I'm sure he had that like tiny little mouth and black eyes. But yeah, like Rake, I guess. So small slitted mouth and 2 vacuous eyes. So
I'm thinking Abe Sapien now from Hellboy.
Yeah, definitely along those lines. Pretty creepy. And like, what we're talking, 20, 30 meters. What's that in feet? It's big.
Yeah, enough. About 90. 90.
So like I was kind of hoping for a bit more of like a legend lore to this creature when I looked into it, but unfortunately the origins are forum based. So in 2007 there was a post on a Japanese forum. It was basically a story of
like 2chan or something.
Yeah, it was
these things come about with the internet. There's nothing predating it.
This is it, man. But okay. I mean, we've got the cryptids to thank for that. Or the internet to thank for that, rather.
Well, you can tell an internet-made creature because it's white and skinny, because that's about the length of the input, isn't it?
True. So it's pretty much, like I say, a Japanese forum. It was something about a shipping container, I think. I don't think I got anything on that, but yeah, as far as I remember, it was a shipping container, and workers saw the creature and usual bullshit like that. So there's no evidence, there's no footprints, there's no fin prints, whatever. So yeah, kind of a bit of a basic bitch cryptid, but I don't know, something looked badass about him. The picture I'm conjuring up in my head is kind of like pretty terrifying.
I don't know. I think we're going to have to draw a line between cryptids and creepypastas.
Yeah, true. Yeah, pretty similar, I guess. So yeah, as far as like the paranormal activities, the cryptids, cryptid even, Nazi law, all the other kind of bullshit, I think it's a pretty full-on place.
So in terms of size, what we're looking at with Antarctica compared to like other continents, because we know Africa's a behemoth.
Pretty big, as far as I can gather. Is that what you're asking? What the size is? Yeah, huge. Yeah, like a behemoth. Like I was saying, similar to sort of like it was sort of describing, Australia with the outback, where it's just sways and sways and sways of land where there's just nothing. That's similar to Antarctica. And I looked into it again, but I didn't really want to cover it too much because I think it's pretty hokum. But there was a lot on the pyramids of Antarctica, which, just mountains. I mean, I looked at pictures of them. I don't know. There might not be. Who knows? Who am I? But the pictures pretty much seem to be kind of like just funny looking pyramidal shaped mountains. But like I say, who knows? My main thing for kind of wanting to go down this was, not that I'm sucking Graham Hancock's dick, but I love his ancient civilization theories, and I was looking into all that, what that's linked to with Antarctica, and a lot of stories kept leading me to like the pole shift when, maybe Antarctica, well, the theory behind it is maybe Antarctica was this lush environment. The poles shifted all of a sudden and killed whatever civilization was kind of thriving there, which again, pole shift, again, just a theory, but we know there are cataclysms, we know there are ice ages, we know the world goes through a lot of natural shifts. So if we do know for a fact that Antarctica was this kind of like lush tropical rainforest, who knows? Maybe a civilization was there. Who would say?
And if it was to ever come back, it would probably mean the rest of us are screwed.
Yeah, man. Imagine what kind of like weird cases you're going to unleash on that. But that was kind of like my main conspiracy theory about the whole place, which I kind of like because again, a lot of the paranormal stories are pretty, like say, anecdotal and not really steeped in evidence. And not that I'm saying a lost civilization is steeped in evidence, but it's kind of cool and maybe something to look into because, like we say, there's land down there, and we knew it used to be.
So
Like
it's
pretty
saying
much
this 3-inch thick ice isn't a wall.
3 mile.
And then if you go past it, it is lush, green, and tropical. And maybe that's the Handmaid's Tale style utopia down there for the elites.
I'm not covering any flat Earth bullshit on that one, dude. I'm definitely calling BS. When I looked into it, I kind of think, we know so much about the planet. We can pretty much map everything with the satellite images. Surely we
What's the
know.
deal with flying over Antarctica? There's people doing that.
I didn't really look into that if it was like, but as far as I could see, and this kind of contradicted the military thing, because it said there is no fly zones due to basically like kind of like military activity. But then I kind of
It's a
thought, which
weather thing,
military?
right?
Who knows, dude? Who knows? But
Well, with winds like that, I don't think there's many pilots keen on.
and why would you be flying over that? I mean, what exactly are you doing other than to do research? But
Exactly.
there is a lot of aerial photographs, so planes do go over there, and within those aerial photographs, obviously satellite images are kind of come up with a lot of the pyramid-like structures.
This is it. See, if satellites can pick out a hut in the desert and blow it up, surely something the size of Antarctica, there's something to report. There must be some. I mean, even Mars gets the odd little look in.
Exactly, again, and it's exactly the same as what happens with Mars. So with the aerial photographs of Antarctica, you have like exactly the same things as you get on Mars in the bottom of the ocean. There's like conspiracies around. You pretty much just Google it and put UFO crashes of Antarctica, and it's all these Google images of what's probably a boulder, maybe fallen down a mountain, and it's created this like kind of thing, similar to what happens on the rocks on the bottom of the ocean where they sort of naturally move. Maybe. Might be a UFO, I might say, but there's all that kind of shit. So it's pretty much similar to like Mars and.
Who are you to say you're the host of the podcast?
I just want to keep it open. I don't want to go full on cynical on this, right? But I am in my old age losing my will to believe a little bit. But yeah, so again, still, I mean, a really fucking cool place. It was a good,
really cool. Like I'd say cold.
yeah, freezing cold.
Ice cool.
But yeah, I mean, just like I said at the start, man, it just the kind of thought of it millions of years ago just being this wild Jurassic Park style fucking badass place with all these weird creatures roaming around. I think that's really cool, and the fact that they're all under there still waiting to be explored.
So you think of whatever was there will be the same as the dinosaurs we find in the rest of the world, or do you think completely different?
I have no idea. The little child in me wants to think of all these wacky creatures. But yeah, I mean, you maybe have to ask a scientist on that one. But I mean, what we're talking 90 million years ago, I have no idea what kind of life was about then.
Maybe like tons of like badass, scary cross monsters.
That's what I'm kind of hoping. But
half sheep, half bear. You know,
from what I read, it said it was home to like a lot of flora and fauna, so they must know of stuff down there. I think when I was looking kind of through the research, the main kind of stuff they've
when
done,
they say that, it turns out to be algae and bacteria. And
I think they've drilled. I tried to kind of like find out what research has actually been done, what's kind of like confirmed to be under there, and it's like I say, they've used. I think a lot of it's done through like satellite imaging and radar and all that sort of stuff, drilling.
Aren't we just looking on the edges, or are the stations like in the middle?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far to say that they're in the middle, but definitely not on the edge. So you've even got like sort of patches of where it's no ice, and then it goes on to like crazy thick ice, and then like you say, you've got all your mountainous regions, so it's where they can get to. And I think there's certain parts where you're not getting dropped off in a helicopter. Do you know what I mean? With 300 mile per hour wind, up 186 mile per hour winds, whatever.
You land back where you took off, I think. If you
Yeah,
don't-
exactly. So
Yeah.
I just think it's such a hostile environment that, it is this kind of wild west of the unknown.
So there's scope for like untouched tribes. That'd be mint.
Untouched tribes, creatures, all sorts. And you think, like, with those volcanoes just creating those massive ecosystems underground, like, what do they mean by that? It's like, is there kind of creatures
Well, if there's
already there?
volcanoes, it means there's tunnels and
I'm guessing lots of
warm
bacteria.
tunnel. Yeah, plenty of that. And
I'm
algae.
thinking, yeah, I'm thinking some kind of weird engineer fluid that if you consume, you just come back fucked.
I'm assuming lots of bioluminescent mushrooms to light the place eerily while you half-life your way around it,
Imagine that.
shooting
That'd
like
be pretty
spider
cool.
crabs and
That'd be badass.
yeah. Wow.
But yeah, man, so that was my take on Antarctica. But yeah, kind of one I wanted to do for a while. Found it a pretty interesting place.
Okay, so have you got any plans to go down and stick a Last Bus Home podcast flag in?
No, I haven't, mate. Because
For us, no.
while I was looking through,
Because I'll let people visit, and their PPE will be optional, preferred, recommended, but optional. But one of the rules would be you're going to have to bring your big coat.
I'd make them sign something as well, just
and some sensible footwear. Yeah.
But yeah, I looked into prices, and it's it's not cheap, mate.
Really?
So,
What are we looking at?
Well, first off, it's not like you can pop down to your local Thomas Cook if that's still a thing, or check it out.
Let's start with the basics, though. Parking.
Expedia.
Like?
I think from what I could gather, there's certain so if you're going down on a scientific kind of like mission, you need recommendations, things like that. But then you've got to pay. I'm guessing from your,
who and to who?
From your science dudes. I didn't really look too much into it, but
mom?
that's your only way of getting down. Other than that, I think you're talking.
Have a note from my mum. Will that work?
It's not going to work,
No.
mate. Look, we're talking thousands. We're talking way above our pay grade, right? Thousands.
For how long? Like
one
weekend.
Okay, so one thing I saw was 16 grand, but that was for a team to do. It was basically like a research project, so they had to get funding for that. So basically, they
research projects are like months. 16K, that's fine. I mean, that's cheaper than the Maldives for months.
Okay, well, I didn't look if there was any Airbnbs, so you might need to check into that.
Well, I know a couple of haunted huts that are empty.
I think we're just going to have to say we're going to do research. We could say a ghost hunting. We could do a ghost hunting expedition in Antarctica. That's kind of cool.
Okay. But we can't start jumping around, cheering when the temperature drops.
No. And we also can't lose our shit when there's a cold breeze or a door slamming because, we know that.
Because it's pretty coming with territory is all that.
Exactly. Oddly enough, no haunted top 10 haunted sightings compilations of Antarctica.
Are there any? Is there any footage?
I could really find. It seems to be pretty chill. Again, freezing. But yeah, so again, a lot of it is anecdotal, like I said, man, but still kind of a cool story.
So has there been any like rogue elements trying to set up shop down there and screwing it up? There must have been. Like some nutcase going down and trying to live there.
No.
Just be the man who lived there.
It's too inhospitable.
Be the person who lived there.
You might get them. Didn't really look into it if there's any kind of like bushmen or just dudes going to live there, but I just can't see it. Man. You're not, like you said, you're not going there. You're not building a shack. You're not doing that on your own. It's not bushcraft.
I think he's begging for a reindeer man sort of adlet kind of a creature.
Definitely good basis.
Like the buff man's body.
Yeah,
with a big hairy reindeer head. I'm in the totally wrong hemisphere for that, but you know what I mean.
Definitely some good horror lore there, I reckon.
Yeah, there's only the thing. There's not enough. Not enough.
This is it. I was disappointed with one cryptid.
But it's frustrating how. I want to say frustrating how little we know, but I think it's more a case of it's frustrating how little we're told.
Yeah, but
because we can't be down there for all this time, and people are always trying to conquer it. I refuse to believe no one has. And if there's all this research going on, surely after all this time, we're not just still churning out boring, bacteria and stuff. Something's got to be there that we're not being told about.
Well, that's the government in general.
Otherwise, they're just all going to have to come home because I'm sick of it.
This is it. If it's important, you're not going to know about it.
I'll email them tomorrow.
Like I say, pretty much it's just all your boring ass, well, not boring, but your standard research. You're not going to know about the cool shit, man. That's not how it works. There might be lots of cool shit going on, but we're never going to find out. Welcome to planet Earth.
Who knows? Maybe we're reaping the cool benefits from Antarctica research.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe that's where we get cool stuff from. I don't know. I can't even think of anything right now. Okay. No, I don't know.
I think we get the cool shit from UFOs, man. I'm not sure about Antarctica.
Type-C USB sockets.
There you go.
It doesn't matter if it's upside down or not. That sounds like it came from Antarctica.
We got fibre optic from UFOs. Why not get USBs from Antarctica?
And tinfoil.
And tinfoil. He knows it.
Yeah. Slime parts in the tub. That's UFO stuff as well.
Do you mean the shit you used to pour through the top of the Ghostbusters firehouse?
Yeah, and getting on the sofa and the carpet and get your ass kicked.
Yeah. Every kid did in the 80s. That's what it's all about. Cool. So,
well, thank you, Louis. That was exhilarating.
No worries, man. No worries. Brings our cold journey to an end. So, yeah, thank you for joining us on Last Bus Home. We'll call it there.
So the Antarctic.